4 months I did nothing. That was good. Then I finally found it.
Alright, we're gonna open the meeting at 4:31. And we're gonna pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna open up public comment at 4:32. Is there anybody that has public comment? Okay, we'll leave it open for 30 minutes. We're gonna move on to the August 21st minutes.
So I will make a motion to accept the minutes of August 21st, 2023.
Alright, motion by Lacey, I need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Casey, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstained. I wasn't there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, moving on to August 12th, regular meeting minutes.
So I will make a motion to accept these minutes with one error. One of the public comment speakers, Janet Dow, it says 75 bogs and it's 75 fogs. So with just that correction.
I do see another one on there. I did email Denise, but.
Oh, okay, sorry. But other than that, with those minor corrections.
Did you have a,
There's still, well, I just clicked on it and there's still another one, right above 3, approval of minutes. It says Janet Dow and it still says Boggs.
okay.
But I'll make a motion with that small correction.
Okay, motion by Lacey with the correction. I need a second.
So
I'll
you're
second.
gonna motion to approve the minutes
As amended.
as amended. Lacey, yep. I second.
Seconded by Jen, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Moving on to the SAU report, superintendent, student services and curriculum.
Start?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. Hi, everyone. My report this evening has some really good news for us to report regarding revenue for Seabrook School District. As you know, there's a little information in the board report regarding the Medicaid to schools benefit that happens in New Hampshire as an opportunity for us to seek some reimbursement for Medicaid eligible services that are delivered primarily to students with disabilities, but for other costs that the schools incur as well. And so our providers, our related service providers, and others, including our educational associates, do a great job of documenting the services that they're providing, and then on a fee basis, depending upon how much the reimbursement is for each particular service that happens, we recoup some revenue. And so there's a historical representation in there of where we've been for the last several years, and we ended 24-25 well above what was anticipated. The anticipated amount was reduced. As you know, Matt includes Medicaid to schools revenue as anticipated on our budgets, and so when we don't meet the anticipated, it results in a shortfall. And so based on the prior year where we didn't do as well, it was reduced to anticipated to be $30,000, and in fact Seabrook exceeded that by quite a bit. It's over $82,000 for the year we ended with, and it ended up being the highest amount in the last 5 years. So kudos to the director, Christian Allison, and all of the support staff that work with her to make sure that we're getting the logging done and that the reimbursement is coming our way. So that was a significant part of the revenue coming back to Seabrook. So we hope that we are able to report something similar for you for next time we report.
I just have a question, Mary,
Absolutely.
if that's okay. Other than, getting on top of logging these hours for the EAs and the specialists, what else would be a reason why we would see such a large increase in the revenue?
Well, I thought about that, right, because it does seem like it's significant. One of the changes that we made, just over a year ago is that, we asked our school psychologists to begin recording their evaluations, both initial evaluations that they were doing and also 3-year, triennial reevaluations that they do with students who are identified. They weren't doing it prior to that. As a rule, there was an extra certification that we had to help them to obtain in order to do that. But when we look at what the reimbursement level is for a school psychologist versus an EA, for example, right, with the services that they're providing, it's quite different. And so they spend hours sometimes on those evaluations. We're not reimbursed for anything 100%, right, of the value, but there is a scale and then they determine. So I really, want to give credit to the psychologist here. I think that's part of it. I think she's been very diligent from what I know, in terms of making that happen. And I also think that, want to call Denise out too, because she's functions as my admin assistant, she's also admin assistant to Shay Castley in our office. But one of the work streams that Denise is in charge of is this Medicaid revenue to schools. And so she comes around and she meets with all of the providers and she helps them ensure that they're doing it, and monthly she sends out reminders if they haven't done it. So I just think it's a lot of diligence, a lot of working together, a lot of attention on it, and knowing that this is an excellent source of revenue for the schools that we're entitled to.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I would just add, there's a ton of work that goes into this, and it's also a matter of sometimes whether or not families who require some of these services are eligible and or give consent for the district to bill for these services.
Correct.
And the services that students may need varies from year to year, so it's hard to really predict our revenue from Medicaid because there's so many variables.
Right. Well, I thank you guys for your diligence in this, because it shows.
And we shout out to all the parents who allow us to, the consent to access their insurance, and allow this reimbursement to occur.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions?
Nope. I'm happy to jump in quick with mine.
Okay.
Information. So at our opening day every year, we recognize staff members who have served 25 or more years in public education. And so I just want to call out those Seabrook folks who meet that criteria, beginning with Maria Easton, social worker, Tammy Gardner, who's an educational associate, Michael Gotro, teacher, skipping along here, Jeff McNally, teacher, Kim Welch, the administrative assistant, 30 years of service, Laura Litkowski, teacher at Seabrook Elementary, and 40 years of service to public education, Colleen Lennon, principal at Seabrook Middle School. So,
Who left the number out?
She's 39, Penny left.
I started when I was 12.
that's right. And just a thank you to all of our teachers, administrators, and support staff, including our custodians, IT, our administrative assistants, for all of the efforts to ensure that our students had a great start to the school year, including food service, just making sure that everything is ready for students when they return to school. You could see the building looked beautiful, shiny floors, right? You could eat off of them. Everything is clean and in its place, and a lot goes into that behind the scenes. So we appreciate everyone's work to do that. I do want to call out the requirement for families to submit annual proof of residency. So we are, the deadline was this past Friday. We still, or as of Friday, Seabrook Elementary had 80 families who had not submitted any paperwork as of yet, and 29 whose paperwork was still incomplete. The middle school had 86 families who had not submitted any paperwork, and another 58 families whose paperwork was still incomplete. So we just want to remind people that we are looking for that, and if we don't receive that, it could mean that children may not be able to participate in and extracurricular activities, but also that at some point we will say you can no longer attend school. So we understand the beginning of the year is hectic.
coming to the town hall? and-
Yeah, so the town hall is really not necessary unless someone needs a document notarized.
Okay.
There are a variety of ways that people can prove their residency. We are typically looking for a rental or lease agreement and or
Tax bill.
either a tax bill or purchase and sales agreement. That's one piece, and then the other piece is something showing you reside at that address. So it might be a utility bill in your name, it could be your driver's license with your address, it could be pay stub, right? There are a variety of ways that people can share that, and if people have questions about what to submit, they can certainly reach out to the school. We know there are folks who may not have a lease or rental agreement in their name, who may be living with someone else. There are letters that the school can provide you with that you can have signed off by that party, but it is our obligation to verify that people reside in Seabrook.
Yep, I think it's great,
And
cause we had some questions before,
Mhm.
from parents of students not residing in Seabrook and coming to Seabrook schools, so I think it's a great way to, keep it in check.
So that's it for my report. I will briefly just call your attention to Dr. Cassidy's report that's included. Just some tips for parents. There are always children who struggle with that return to school, maybe feel a little anxious or struggle to get into that routine. So some tips and tricks for parents to support children through that process, as well as some homework assistance, advice, and strategies. We talk a lot about executive function, which are those strategies that help us stay organized and aware of our responsibilities and what we need to do. So there are some strategies in there for supporting teenagers with those things. And then the last piece she shared was that we are working across the SAU to review the pre-K-12 generative AI framework that was developed for New Hampshire schools by a combination of groups, including the State Department of Education. She's putting together a team of teachers and administrators to create an action plan for that continued work here in the SAU. And if you are a parent or guardian who wishes to participate, you can contact Dr. Castley.
Are these links on the website, like our website?
So all of our reports are available in board docs, and the links are live in
Okay.
board docs. They have
Board
not been,
Okay,
they have not all been shared out
okay.
beyond that.
I'm just saying, cause I clicked on some, I was kinda looking through them, so I thought they could be helpful.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? Alright, moving on to the SCS Principals Report.
Awesome. So we also had a very good start to the school year. We had 2 first days of school. August 26th for grades 1 through 4 went very well. Had a number of staff say, "Hey, I didn't see any tears all day today. It was a great first day." I said, "Just wait, kindergarten and preschool are starting next week," and that went really, really well. We had a very good start. So I just thank our staff, families, students for making that such a good start to the school year. I wanted to share a quick snapshot of my report. There's an image of our new and improved schedule, and so we worked with teachers to refine some of what we worked hard over the summer to create for this school year, and the side-by-side pictures there will show that we had a lot of those big white blocks were open, really open-ended and core instruction blocks, so it may have said ELA, an hour and a half. So we went in and we've structured those based on research. So for example, our literacy block now, instead of saying we have an hour for literacy, we've broken it down to include the key components for effective literacy instruction. And so that, for example, would include time for whole group lesson, some small group instruction, some time for reading, and time for students to be read to. And so if we're not doing all of those things consistently, then we may not see the growth that we know we'll be able to. And so we also we used to have 2 30-minute intervention blocks, and so in an effort to minimize transitions and give teachers longer amounts of time, we just have a 1 hour intervention block now instead of 2 30-minute blocks that were math and reading, and just having teachers use their professional discretion, using data to inform what we're doing and what kids might need math or reading, and just giving people flexibility with that 1 hour to be able to do that. but we're excited. It was definitely a highlight for me in those return to school days, working with teams to refine the schedule to make it match what was gonna be best for them, but also for the whole school. So, we're excited about that. So far, so good there. Next, just recess. So Playworks is continued at Seabrook Elementary, and I just want to share a couple of small things that have really made a big impact so far. One being rules. Be kind, be safe, and have fun. That really encompasses most of what we would have to deal with when it comes to recess and appropriate play at recess. And then we also have an image here, but a sample of what our zones look like out at recess. And so we have designated areas where kids will hear about the games that are in those areas before recess starts, and then they'll break, and they'll be able to go to any of the 3 zones to play whatever the designated game is. So we're seeing great participation and engagement at recess and less issues so far, which has been great. And then we're excited to launch our junior coaching program again in the next week or two. And that will be with 4th grade this year. Last year we did it with 3rd, since it was towards the end of the year. We really want 4th grade to be doing that, and so that group that did it last year will be able to do it again this year, our 4th graders. Leading games with 1st grade, 2nd grade. I also put a image in here. Definitely download Parent Square if you have not. That is our primary communication tool. There's a QR code there. If you're having any issue logging into Parent Square, definitely let us know. Picture Day is on the 25th of September, and the first day of SAS is September 29th. And then I put our goals in there, and those will be in there, every report for review, for questions or anything. But that's it. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Any questions?
I just have one question, going back to your improved schedule, when you said previously, like you had these 1.5 hour blocks for like language art or ELA,
Yeah.
was that kind of like every teacher at their own discretion, kind of to create that curriculum or the structure for that 1.5 hours
Yeah, using
prior to? Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
And so now it's more structured and, okay.
Yeah, it'll give us a better understanding of the programs that we're using and whether they're working or not, if we
Right.
know really when to go in and see what's being taught.
So you can measure it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, moving on to SMS Principals Monthly Report.
Hello, welcome back. We started the year off with kicking off some PD with our teachers at UNH. Hope you enjoyed some of the photos we included. We asked them to take risks, kind of face their fears. Some of us did well, and some of us really realized how fearful we are of heights and obstacles that we didn't really know were gonna be in our way. The beauty of that was we started out where we had an activity where there were 4 groups and we were kind of like all against each other, and then it ended up turning around where we all as a whole group started to talk about how we could get to the end result, because it was all points based, so it was every man for himself turned into everybody working together. So that was great to see. And I think we asked kids to take risks and face their fears, because school can be scary. So we started out with, the staff doing that, and then UNH will come in and work with our students. And it's nice to see people guiding and supporting each other. And it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful
Where's your
day.
picture, Colleen?
Huh?
Where's
Yeah.
the picture?
I faced my fear.
Okay.
I made it to the log and
I hope that
You
picture
logged it
Josh is
in.
in the yearbook.
walked across. When I got up there, I was like, now I gotta walk across. So yeah, it was good. It was really good. I'd be happy to say that we have seen 2 cell phones, which is beautiful, and immediately put them right back in their locker. So I appreciate parents who have supported us. To date, it's been a non-issue, and it's nice to see them outside, not like taking or trying to sneak things out of their pockets. So that's really appreciated by all the staff. We're really happy with our new athletic director, Savannah. Yesterday was our first field hockey game. The coach is in the audience. It was a 0-0, so we're really happy about that. Ms. Sherburne and Ms. McNally. some of these girls have never played field hockey, it's kind of a little complicated game,
Yeah.
but they were gritty and they worked hard and, we're looking forward to scoring goals this season, so, that was great. And then the last piece that I included for you was what we provided the staff during PD, goals that we're gonna be working on in addition to our school improvement goals. So we're looking at implementing high-impact teaching strategies. I apologize, I should have probably uploaded what those are. I have copies, there's 10 of them. So Sarah Sharilla, who is our professional development provider, did PD with the entire staff and just focus on what are some strategies we as teachers can use with our students. So we'll be, I mean, the highest indicator of a kid being successful is if they're engaged. And there's different ways to get kids engaged. So we're gonna be working on that this year. We also are looking at our advisory program, so that's cohesive. The number one indicator of a kid dropping out of high school is they do not think they feel like they didn't belong, and there was no adult that really cared whether or not they dropped out. So in order to prevent that, I mean, you really have to start it in middle school. Middle school is about belonging. You know, they have a sense of belonging when they're in elementary school with their little teachers and their little cocoon, and then they come over to us, and there's like, they have to navigate many adults, so we really wanna work on, you know, what's an indicator of a student belonging at SMS, so that they're proud of the fact that they walk through the door every day, and they know that we're invested in not only them in the achievement category, but also them as people, so. And then the chart kind of talks about other initiatives, so we're gonna continue with Brown. We're looking at writing, cause it's really a key component, you know, good readers are good writers, so we need good readers, we also need good writers. We'd like to expand our family council. We're gonna start a National Junior Honor Society. We have an adult that's gonna, you know, spearhead that with our 7th and 8th graders. And we're gonna go visit junior college and college this year so our kids understand like the path. Maybe junior college is an option, maybe college is an option, maybe a technical career is an option. So we wanna, that is in our school improvement plan, but we kinda wanna give them the opportunity to see, what does that look like? What does it look like to go to UNH and go to a cafeteria where there's lots of different kinds of foods and like sit down and see students interacting. Questions? No? Okay, great.
All right, moving on to curriculum report.
Evening, everyone. So we had a very busy opening few days with professional development for both sides of the school. The opening days of school is always a blend between teachers getting ready in their classrooms and then also wanting to provide professional development that we can all have conversations around and kind of reset the year and set the tone and kind of, we tried to create a balancing act with that. So one of the things that we did in the elementary school is we had teachers in grades 1 through 3 who teach our phonics program called Foundations. We gave them kind of a reset, renew workshop with Kim Croto, who is our implementation specialist from Wilson. She came in and kind of did a Q&A and also workshop session with those teachers. They brought their materials, they dug back in to Foundations, they took a look at where they were strong. This is their 4th year, so they were 3 years into the implementation. So kind of like reflecting back and resetting and supporting one another with best practices and the things that you know, they know to be, that they want to share with one another. We gave them the time to do that as well with kind of a guided workshop. So that was in our elementary. This year we're really going to focus on resetting our early reading curriculum and looking at, like Tim mentioned, adjusting the schedule so we can really target and look at Foundations and see it in practice and see wit and wisdom in practice and really support teachers throughout that in the elementary school. In the middle school, as Colleen mentioned, we had Sarah Sharilla come in. She did a workshop with our teachers around high impact teaching strategies we can use across all disciplines So really, again, not content specific, but just everywhere good practice, with also embedded in that the goal of writing across the disciplines in the middle school this year. Really expanding out our rubrics to include science writing, to include our social studies teachers, to include kind of a humanities model where it makes sense, or a STEM model where it makes sense. So we're really trying to think about integrating that through writing, knowing that that's something we really want our students to exit 8th grade, being able to go up to Winnicott and be proficient writers as well as readers, as Colleen mentioned. So we had an opening workshop with that, more to come on that across the year. I want to shout out to Dawn Raymond and Alyssa Dow, who presented to the staff on the opening day, shared rubrics out that could be used across disciplines, shared best practices, and kind of made a presentation for the staff and did that for us. So kudos to them and to all the staff that are grabbing those rubrics and starting to understand them, and hopefully we're going to get a chance to use them often. The assessment schedule I attached for the year, that's for both buildings. Just kind of, it's an overview. It doesn't give specific dates, but it certainly gives how often an assessment is used, what grade level it's used at, kind of the general layout of the year. As each of those assessments kind of gets unrolled, you'll see calendars come home or put out through the principal's messaging. Right now, we just are in the middle of NEWA at the middle school, and then towards the end of the month, we'll do our NEWA testing in grades 2 to 4 at the elementary schools. We kind of staggered that a little bit. But you can see on the assessment schedule, we have NEWA 3 times a year as our kind of internal benchmarking and progress monitoring for our teachers, helping us adjust instruction, helping us look at our strengths, areas we want to target, and that kind of goes through the different assessments. Happy to take questions on those rather than go through every one of those, but we're in the middle of NEWA, so you'll be able to talk to your students at home and ask them if they've taken it or when they're taking it. In the middle school, for sure, we're deep into it. With 5 and 8 is finished, and 6 and 7 is, some of them went today, right? So they're in it. They're doing a great job, really taking it seriously, and the teachers are setting the tone and setting goals with them. All of the students had goal-setting meetings with all the teachers around NEWA, which again, kudos to the teachers for the opening days of school. They hit the ground running with kids. It took a lot, and they dug in to make sure every student had a goal-setting conference. So the assessment schedule is here, and do you have any questions about it or anything related to that for the year?
When would we get the results for the NEWAs?
Yeah, so as soon as we complete all of the elementary, which starts in grades 2, the assessments run 2 through 8. So as soon as all the assessments are done, then we can kind of capture that, and we'll send those home. It's called a family report, and what we've done is a little different in elementary or middle. We've either mailed them home or put them in backpacks. We'll let you know how we're going to send those home, depending on the age level of the student. But those family reports will absolutely be coming home.
And there's like an explanation?
On those reports, we'll have a longitudinal look of the child's progress. So if your child's in 7th grade, you'll have their results from NEWA from 2nd grade all the way through 7th grade.
Okay.
And it's really nice. It kind of demonstrates, I wish I had a slide, but it shows it in kind of a chart form, so that you can really, as a parent, you can see their growth across time, which is great. And if you have any questions about that, or you see a dip, or you have a concern, reach right out, either to myself, to the classroom teacher, or both of us. We'll sit down, make a meeting, we'll get to you, or the principals, or through me, or somehow communicate a question. I don't want anyone to be looking at that wondering what it is, but it does have explanation on the report itself, so it's pretty clear.
Okay.
What's nice about the NEWA report is it gives parents an opportunity to see their child's growth against themselves across time, but also their achievement against a norm, a national norm. So you can see achievement and also growth. So the report does tell a bit of the story of that child's progress.
We also make sure that when the testing cycle, that window is closed, we upload those individual reports right to the parent portal.
Okay, great.
And so we have now, we'll be entering our third year of data in there, so in the parent portal, parents go to their child's vault and they can see all of that. The SAS information is also historically there, so that at any time, parent doesn't have to look for a piece of paper that was sent home, or they can go back just in the parent portal in Power School, and they can see their historical assessment data for their child.
Thanks, Mary, for bringing that
Perfect.
up. Also there.
Any other questions?
Questions about that?
No, I guess we're all set, thank you.
All right, great, thanks so much.
Special services report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This month's report is a little bit of a snapshot of just some nuts and bolts and data. So we're just happy to have everybody back in the building, students and staff. We hired 3 new special ed teachers to join the department this year, so they're listed there. We currently still have a special ed teacher / case manager position open at Seabrook Elementary School, and we have at this time 4 open EA positions. And then just some information about some summer move-ins that happened. So we had 5 students, identified students at the elementary school move-in and 3 at the middle school. And then based on those move-ins, just a general snapshot of what the total number of EA hours in the IEPs for those move-ins looked like. So you can see that we've definitely had an increased need in what's outlined in the individual education plans. The department between both buildings met on Monday, August 25th. Last year we met bi-weekly, both sides of the building together. This coming year, the group wants to still meet together. We're gonna do that monthly, and then instead of a second meeting with everybody together, we're gonna do an elementary school and then a middle school, because sometimes the issues that we're tackling are a little different. And the department agreed that we're gonna continue to align our practices between both buildings. Things on our radar are obviously working on improving our data collection, implementing a new software program called Goalbook, which will help with IEP writing, as well as a few other areas to align. And then for those of you that like the numbers, last year we had a total of 317 meetings, IEP team meetings. So this is when the whole IEP team's together, not just a parent comes in and wants to talk to a couple of people whenever we're doing a sign-in sheet, taking minutes. And then the total number of referrals for last year across both buildings was 83. Do you guys, does anybody have questions? Just threw a lot of numbers at you, so. Okay,
There's no questions?
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Finance report.
Thank you. So I have included the year-to-date expenditure reports. You'll note that there's not a revenue report included this for this month, which is really a byproduct of it being so early in the fiscal year. There's really minimal revenue to report. But on the expenditures, that there will be a revenue reports though in subsequent months. On the expenditure side, you'll see most of our accounts have available balance. Again, that's a result of it being so early in the fiscal year. However, we are starting to encumber expenditures that are known, any contracts that we have. You'll see salaries are all inputted. There is one account you'll note that is over budget, that is health insurance by about $190,000. Those are one of those accounts where it changes, feels like by the day, but it's a result of employee elections, so we may have an employee that elects for a family plan, but then replaced with someone that's on a single plan, it can go either way. It does look like we are, in relatively good shape at this point, considering that we are in a default budget, and we do know this is a tight year, but we are working with Colleen and Tim to really manage our expenditures this year, similar to last, and look at where we do have needs and where we could potentially recognize savings. And as always, I will update you as we go through the school year as to where we may be over budget, and then areas where we could be saving money. I also want to note that we did have the auditors, Plotzik and Sanderson, visit at the beginning of August. They did their on-site review where they examined all of our documentation, POs, invoices, our policies. They surveyed relevant stakeholders. You had your board questionnaire completed at the August board meeting. So we will have some preliminary results for FY25 that I will be reporting back at the October school board meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from that? All right, moving right along to policies, second read and adoption.
Yes, so these were the policies that were included in the agenda for our August meeting as well. Just give the board additional time to review those. I've not received any questions since our last meeting. I'm happy to answer any if there are any.
Any questions on any of the policies that anybody has?
I don't think so.
All right, then we will need a motion to adopt the 30 policies that were reviewed.
I'll make a motion to adopt, the 30 policies, and I think it's 2 withdrawals. Yeah.
Second.
All right, motion by Lacey, seconded by Jen. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous?
I think retreat was the next
Oh, yeah.
item.
School board retreat, so this would be the retreat for us to set our goals. I have our goals that were listed here in the past. We wanted some times that people are available, and I wanna incorporate to the board meeting with the teachers. I've been in contact, with Ms. Sherburne, yep, and, so we could come up with some times for that also. But it will be two different, yeah,
Okay.
two different meetings. I think that would work the best. But I think that we should meet first as a board before we meet with the teachers. And what we incorporated, we're thinking about, or Rebecca was thinking about having, a teacher from each grade level that would come in, and we would all work together, so it's not all of
Right.
the teachers, but it'll be a representative.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Do
So-
we have any dates, were there any suggested dates when you guys were talking?
No, I think, what was it, just times,
Just
4
like-
o'clock or something?
After work.
Oh, yeah, 'cause field hockey too,
Yeah, so,
so,
we can get in the schedule. What is that app? So Rhonda used an app before,
Doodle.
we need that. I
What is
love
it?
that.
It's free.
cause that's the best way, honestly, to schedule something is to remember where you just threw out dates and you clicked what you could be available for, and it kinda
Yeah, I didn't do
consolidated
that
all of
very
us.
good, so.
Come on, it was amazing.
You could teach me. That's
Okay,
fine.
well, I can set something up.
I mean, we can, or we can just send you a list of available dates and you can just reply which ones.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
great, that way
That's
it's
best.
easier than.
Do you have your, yeah, okay, so everybody look at their schedules and,
Do you want my office to send out dates, or do you wanna send out dates?
I don't know what everybody's schedule is.
No, I'm saying we
at-
can send out a list of dates, we
Like
can
a
send
list
out a
of
list of
dates.
dates when,
And then we can pick what works
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, cause she has the dates of a lot of the
when I'm not busy with other things.
activities and, yeah.
Yeah, and all the committees and everything.
Well, you
So
can
I
make
think-
it on a Saturday, can't you?
Oh, God.
Don't mess with me Saturday. No, but I think that's the easiest way, that way if we get a handful of dates, we can
Yeah.
decide which works the best, so we'll do you wanna do retreat first and then meeting with the teachers second?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what I was thinking.
And are you trying to do that this month or sometime before the next board meeting to
Yeah.
do both?
So, right.
We'd like to if we
Yeah.
can, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that'd be
Alright.
nice.
So that's
Send some
in,
dates out tomorrow.
that's on you? Okay, great.
But I really do like that app is
What was it called again?
Doodle.
Doodle, okay. I remember seeing it, but
It was so convenient.
Calendly, maybe.
Yeah.
I might have been a little challenged. That's okay, we'll figure it out.
Just click.
Okay, and then we'll let Rebecca know what,
Yes,
we'll
I've
work
been in
with her
contact with her,
dates.
so we'll stay in contact and we'll come up with a date for both those meetings.
Thank you for the invitation,
Yes, thank you.
A long time coming.
appreciate it.
Can I say one more thing? I forgot
Yes.
to forget. Sorry.
Yeah.
We were in the process of hiring another math person, so superintendent had the nomination form, so we're very excited about that, another Title I math person. So now we have a whole team, you know, Tim and I met and we're gonna share it across the
Oh,
kids'
I love it.
spectrum, in terms of
love
like
that.
now that we're a Title I school. So we're really excited about that, cause I know math has been a concern in the past. And we are gonna have crisis drills, so we just want parents to know that. We'll send out an email after we have a drill, 5 drill, lock down, clear the hallway. So, yeah, thanks.
Early learning playgroup. Did you wanna reschedule that?
So
Do you want me to start?
go for it, yeah.
We discussed at the last meeting, Mary offered to put together a group, and invited board members to participate. 2 board members at the last meeting indicated they would be interested. Following that meeting, another board member expressed interest. My concern is if we invite another board member, it then becomes a board meeting.
Yeah,
And that was not our goal. So I guess we need a decision whether this is a topic we wanna have at a board meeting, or if we want administration to follow through on, working with a committee and having a board, 1 to 2 board reps, participate in that committee.
Personally, I think that makes more sense because I think it makes sense to have preschool team a part of it, and I don't know that they're necessarily available to be at our meetings.
Well, no, so
We get
what we would
plans.
do is have the administration would work with the preschool team, Tim and Mary and Christian would work with the preschool teachers, and we can either
Would
bring
create a
something to you,
proposal with those
or the
folks
board
and
can
bring
be
it.
part of that.
But what we had talked about last meeting is having both of you come and be part of that committee. And then when we receive the subsequent emails, it put everything on hold because we had to decide if now we were posting a public meeting and all of that. So I ended up not convening any committee, but we're anxious and ready to get that done. We just need
I would like to
direction
move
from you.
forward, yeah. Is there a way for another board member to go as a community member? I know
No,
that
because
was.
it would be an administrative committee, it's not a public meeting.
Right, I just wanted to make sure I asked.
If you'd rather that I just convene it, you know, with the team and then bring the proposal to you at the next meeting, we can do that too, if you don't feel comfortable, whatever you'd like us to do.
I personally would would rather stick to the original plan. So,
So we already had two that said that they could do it, so that should just be that, you guys do it, you already volunteered first.
okay,
Right, everybody is in
This was like an
agreement.
after the fact thing,
Yes.
and it just came in, so.
Yeah.
okay.
But that, I just wanna point out that committee member is not here to speak
Yeah.
Right.
to it, so I just wanna point that out, if making a decision. She expressed interest in being a part of it, so.
Well, there can't be three,
Well,
so.
Right, so do you,
Yeah, I
Lacey,
mean,
I know you had
ultimately,
questions.
whatever proposal, whether it's put together strictly by the school side and brought to you, or put together in collaboration with the board and brought to you, the board will have the ultimate
Right.
decision.
Either way, yeah,
Either
I thought it would be more productive to have board members kinda collaborate and contribute
Agreed,
in a small group setting,
agreed.
and then kind of bring stuff to the board so that it's not back and forth, and that we can actually accomplish something in a timely manner than to keep pushing it onto agenda. I feel like that's just defeating the purpose of us trying to restart this play group.
Mhm.
So, it,
yeah,
so do you have to make a motion? Is a motion necessary?
Well, it's an administrative committee, so if the decision of the board is that Lacey will be
Be
the
the
board
point
rep to that
person.
committee, then we'll have Mary contact her as that meeting is scheduled.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine, that works for me.
yeah, 'cause I mean, they've done that for me when I've had to sign certain documents, you made me,
I just
The
think it's
point
important to
person.
get started right away
Yeah.
and to do it in a small group and that way.
yeah, 'cause before you know
we're-
it, it'll be December.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
wanna get the ball rolling, so.
Okay,
I'll send some dates.
Okay,
alright,
thank
so
you.
contact Lacey
I will,
and you,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
thank you. New business, SMS Level Up UA. I think there was some questions about
Yeah,
what
the
Level Up
board-
was.
Yeah,
Or
this was a board member request to add this to the agenda, so as the board will remember, we are in a default budget. As a result of that, we needed to make a reduction. Originally, we proposed reducing Spanish. When we had an opening in PE, we proposed combining PE and health with one teacher and maintaining the Spanish position, so we didn't fill the vacant PE position. We had another teacher take on two roles. So as a result of that, there was one less unified art in the schedule at the middle school. And so Dr. Lynn, in collaboration with her team, had to look at what's the best use of that time. The school counselor in most schools within the SAU does classroom lessons. That's been a part of the practice here. It wasn't formally in the UA schedule. But in order to provide teachers with the required planning time and team meeting time and be able to accomplish those goals without additional staffing, Level Up was the name given to the time provided by the school counselor. You can see, I thought we had attached the policy, but you can see the course description that's included there. You know, a comprehensive school guidance and counseling plan is part of the New Hampshire required, under the minimum standards in New Hampshire, it's a required program. So these are the skills that are part of the ASCA, the American School Counseling Association curriculum that is identified in your policy, and so it really is intended to help build some of those executive function skills as we talked about, but to help students build those skills to promote their academic success, personal growth, and lifelong learning. So the course overview. is
Anybody else
included.
have questions on that?
No, I reviewed, I went through your monthly, activity and how it was gonna, break up, September it says the
schedule.
focus skill is, self-awareness and goal setting, and we've talked extensively, we've even compared ourselves to different schools such as Hampton Falls, and we've all said, in Hampton Falls, they have a set block where they sit down with their schedules and they go through and they write down their goals and they write down, what they need to do, and they're very organized, and that sets them up for success. So I feel like this class there's so many things like this that we often overlook because we're so focused on academics, but if you're not organized and you don't have time management skills, which I'm still working on as an adult, and self-awareness, goal setting, like if you don't have those tools in your toolbox though, it makes being successful and growing in academics 10 times harder.
Can I just speak to that?
Yeah.
Because I know a previous board member talked about the agenda books, we spend all this money,
Right.
and they don't really even know how to use them, right? The agenda books are phenomenal too, and I will tell you that Haley Parsons, the first thing that she did, and she would have been here tonight, but she has a meeting in Exeter, just so you can make a face to the person that's teaching the class. Take out your agenda books, she's gonna talk to them how to use, and she talked to me about like the agenda books leads to like how do you organize a Google Calendar, and you look at like all of the meetings, and I will say that last year when Mission Kid to Kid came from the high school, the number one thing they said to our 8th graders is you have to be organized, you have to figure out how to balance, like I play a sport, I'm in the band, I'm in a club, and I have a test and I have to read. I have a 28-year-old daughter who has an agenda book to this day, and she color codes
I do too.
it, and she's like, color codes her closet, she's like a type A, and for me, as her mother, it certainly has helped her, and I think that we talk about getting our kids ready for high school, getting them organized. They don't just figure that out themselves.
Right.
No.
Somebody has to
Life lessons.
literally teach them, like, how do you collaborate with your peers? How do you get along with difficult people? How do you advocate for yourself? So we felt like 7th and 8th graders were the year that was like critical. I mean, for those of you who have a 7th grader, you know what their brain is like, right? And they're just trying to navigate being in middle school and getting ready to leave us. So it's value added to us, and they all get to know her, because they don't all get to know her. So and she's fabulous at what she does, and anybody that has a question can come on September 17th to our open house and talk to her and look at the syllabus and ask her questions. I've only had one inquiry from one parent who said, hey, I saw this on Facebook, I'm gonna go to you and ask you what this is. And I said to her, I appreciate you asking me like what it is and not assuming it's something that it isn't, so.
Great.
Perfect. I just wanna close public comment. Anybody else, we kinda ran over, we got engulfed in conversation, but 5:23, I'm closing public comment if no one has any other comments. Okay, seeing none, hearing none, it's closed. Alright.
So for the parents, like you said, because there are things on social media that
We know.
right, so for the parents that for whatever reason do feel uncomfortable with this, they have the option to opt out.
You have the option to opt out, but you also have to, if you opt out, you have to replace that with something that is gonna
Right.
focus on the skills. And I think what I wanna say to that is, cause I respect that, is like, find out what's really happening and talk to the adult that's doing it every day. Before you make a decision about something that, it's new and different, but it's also meant to set our kids on a road to success, so.
Right, we've talked about this thoroughly for the last at least 2 years that I've been here, about how we can implement all these different strategies in order to make our kids more successful. And going by this list and stuff, I really don't see any issue whatsoever. These are all tangible skills that children and even adults can use. Yeah, honestly.
Perfect. So any other questions on that? If not, we are gonna move on to contracted special education staffing.
Yes, so we reached out to the board, I think late summer, because we had vacancies, I think we had shared that.
Still do.
We still do, we have 4 EA vacancies,
Yeah.
one special education teacher vacancy, and an RBT vacancy
The RBT's been filled.
through the contracted
Correct.
position, right. And so, we looked at, we reached out to the union with their blessing, we reached out to vendors to see if we could potentially contract to fill, some of those vacant positions. We were able to secure one RVT and one EA. Those are, contracts that can be terminated with 30 days notice, so should we find, candidates locally who can fill those roles, we can, make that adjustment. It is, an additional cost, it's more, expensive to contract out for those services, and yet we have an obligation to provide those services. So it's always a balancing act. You know, as of right now, we're within our operating budget, right? We still have those other vacancies that offset that. We've also projected some savings in our out-of-district tuition. Again, all of those things are subject to change within special education, but we're trying to address the staffing shortages that we have in the best way that we can, in order to provide the services we're responsible to provide to children, so.
And we appreciate that, and that's one of the biggest goals that I wanna focus on, is trying to get the budget passed for the upcoming year.
I just had a question, and I apologize for the wrong internet, so
Sure.
it might have already got answered, and I just can't see it. But last meeting, I think we had open 8 EA spots, right?
Yeah,
And
so-
then I know there were at least 2 people hired, does that mean we hired? And then we contracted 1, so did we hire somebody else too?
We did. I shared that information earlier today. We had one other EA position that was filled, I believe, on September 2nd.
Okay, so we hired 3 and contracted 1, and still 4.
So we have 4 vacant positions,
Which includes
for EA
two
positions.
new added positions that we had to add because of new enrollment, right? So, yes, we've significantly reduced the number of vacancies.
Okay, sorry, I'm just following the.
Yeah,
The numbers,
math.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions on special education staffing? Alright, we're gonna move on to acceptance of gift, Seabrook Police Association.
Yes, so the Seabrook Police Association was generous enough to provide a number of school supplies for student use here, valued at approximately $1,000. So we would ask that the board accept that donation with appreciation.
Alright, who would like to make the motion?
Oh, okay.
I don't
I'll
know.
make, I'll make the motion, I'll make the
so-
motion with appreciation, from the Seabrook Police Association.
I'll
Mo-
second.
Motion by Lacey, seconded by Jen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Alright, and this is just an FYI, joint board policy committee meeting, there was one, September 22nd, but it got changed.
Yes, that has been pushed out to October because the New Hampshire School Board Association has not yet completed their fall update and has indicated that it will be early to mid-October.
And that'll be October 8th that we have scheduled the policy operations committee, which I am the representative.
So you're the representative for the joint board operations, or just the policy?
No, I'm for the joint board.
For operations?
Yeah,
So can I take your spot?
Oh, I'm for the policy, sorry.
yeah, right.
I was gonna ask you if I could take your spot where I'm the chair of the joint board, and that's where you guys set the meeting.
Yeah, go for it.
I knew you would
I
give
think,
it. I knew you would give it.
I think we had thought that anyways at the last joint board. but
I thought
thought we
that
had
was
switched
kinda
it.
how it
Still says
went.
on there, that's why I was looking at it.
Correct?
That is typically what happens if a member of the board is, of the local board, the Seabrook
Yeah.
board, is an officer of the
The joint
board or
board, yeah,
chairing or
that
vice
gets
chair of the joint
switched.
board, they typically serve as the board rep. But I think the timing of the vote, I think you did your appointment at your meeting before the joint board meeting was held.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Yeah,
So it's making that change if the board
okay. So do we need a motion to make that change?
probably.
Okay. I'll make the motion that Lacey Fowler will be the joint board operations representative. Casey, did you still wanna be alternate or do you want Jen to be alternate?
I'm fine, unless Jen wants it. She says she's okay.
So I made the motion, I need a second,
I'll second.
seconded by Jen, all in favor? Aye. And the next board meeting is October 14th. This, for the regular school board meeting.
Yes, and as soon as we have dates for the retreat and the meeting with teachers, we will post
Okay.
those as well.
Yep, perfect. And do we have anything for non-public? You're
Look at us.
kidding me.
Look at us.
Woo, woo. All right. All right, motion to adjourn at 5:31.
I'm gonna say that was Jen.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, that's always Jen.
And second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Lacey, all in favor? Aye.